Hello, everyone, and welcome to Faith and Freedom. I'm Shemaine Nugent. Hollywood is gone woke. And speaking of for God, family, country, or common sense, well, that's going to get you canceled. But some still have the courage to stand. You know him as Superman, but off screen, he's a real life hero fighting for faith, family, and freedom. Joining me now is actor, producer, and advocate Dean Cain. Dean, welcome.
Good day. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's daytime here. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Shemaine.
Well, thanks for being here. Most actors run from controversy. You, my friend, ran into it. From playing Superman to living it, you even took a job with ICE. Why'd you do that, Dean?
The same reason that I joined law enforcement about almost a decade ago. I became a reserve police officer, then I became a fully sworn deputy sheriff, and I've done that for almost a decade now. And I did that during the height of defund the police and that movement, which I thought was completely insane. And I'm doing this now, joining up with ICE for the same exact reason, to stand up for our men and women of law enforcement. Number one, to protect Americans who are here in this country legally, regular, everyday citizens, and our ICE agents are being vilified, and I cannot stand for that because they're wonderful men and women. And it was a weird story how it all happened because I put out a recruitment video, it got misconstrued, and then I finally just said, you know what, let's just join up, let's just do this.
Well, what was it that made you say, yeah, I'm going to do this, even though Hollywood and the Democrats are going to flip on you?
Well, I haven't really been following their narrative for a long time. I've always been my own individual since I was a little kid, and if I feel strongly convicted about something, that's what I'm going to do. Whether my morals and I think my values are very strong, and the idea of joining ICE. I mean, I've been called every name in the book. I've been called a fascist, a Nazi, a racist, a xenophobe, everything under the sun. If you don't agree with what they have to say, they will try and silence you and intimidate you. And I find that insane, and I refuse to bend the knee, and I won't do it. So I'm willing to take the slings and arrows. The attacks have been pretty ridiculous and weak thus far, and it just if you look at the people who are attacking you, it gives you an idea of what you might stand for. I'm getting, John Oliver and Bill Maher and John Leguizamo and Margaret Cho and Eric Swalwell and folks like that attacking me. And if those are the people attacking me, I'm doing something right.
Well, you've been speaking out for years and way before it was safe. Did you ever think to yourself, man, I'm losing roles. I should back it down a little bit.
Of course, that's a concern. You say people, will go after you, but I'm not in that game. I'm fortunate to be in a position in my life and in my career where I don't need all that. So it makes a big difference. As a young actor, I would say you go ahead and stay silent because they'll try and destroy you. They'll build you up and they'll try and destroy you. So I've seen all of those sides. Listen, whether actors should be speaking about politics or not, it's their business, and there is a risk with it. Look what happened to Gina Carano. Fortunately, with Elon Musk and X backing her, she beat down Disney and probably got a very nice payout. And God bless her, she deserves it because they took a lot of work away from her. But I'm sure it's out there, but I just can't function out of a state of fear. I can't make my decisions because I'm scared. So if that happens, okay, but I haven't seen it thus far. Actually, I've heard a lot more support than one might think from all sorts
Well,
of folks.
good for you. I've seen my husband stand up when we first got married 36 years ago. People were
Oh,
telling him, okay, do this interview, but don't talk about guns and don't talk about hunting. He's like, can't do it. You ready to roll? Let's go. Like he was probably one of the first people to speak out and not be afraid and be fearless. But I want to talk about before we go for this segment, I got you two segments. Let's talk about woke Hollywood and the new woke Superman. Instead of battling bad guys, this Superman's taking on politicians and climate change. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I honestly haven't seen it yet. There's been a big hullabaloo about it, and I did comment on some of the comments that James Gunn and his brother Sean made about it being an immigrant story. And I've heard a lot of people say Superman gets beat up too much, and things of that nature. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But I really that comment makes me want to go, what? I got to check this out. I've been a little busy lately because I just finished directing another movie, and it's been right up against it. I haven't had a moment to breathe because then this whole ice situation took place. So I've been a little bit strapped for time. I need to see it and before I make a real judgment about it. But I hear it's a mixed jury thus far. I think James Gunn's a great filmmaker. Did he inject politics into it? I don't know. I'm gonna find out. I'd like to know, but I can't really comment intelligently till I actually get to go and experience it, and I haven't had that opportunity yet.
Well, this is how they start. It's very subtle. I haven't seen the movie either, but I do know that they change from saying, instead of truth, justice, and the American way, now it's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like, why
it's
would you take that out?
it's pernicious. It's that little by little by little they do that. You know, they did that a while ago. Actually, the Warner Brothers let that trademark lapse. So it's in my Twitter bio or my X bio. I say it all the time because I truly believe it. They want to get this globalist idea, and that's fine. But the whole idea, I think, behind Superman was that he was, a baby raised by two middle class American farmers with strong American values, and that's why he became the most moral and virtuous being on this planet. And I think that's a huge part of what they're overlooking when they say a truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. It's the American way, in my opinion, that forged him into the moral human he is. And it's the American way is the reason that everyone's still trying to come over here, the reason we're having issues on the border, the reason everyone is trying to come to this country because it's done so very well. Our Constitution, our freedoms, our ability to protect the individual, in my case, the individual against the mob, and I think that is why people want to be here. So I think taking the American way out was a huge mistake. Uh, I wish they'd put it back in, but if they don't, I'll use it.
Good. Well, one thing that's great, and you just mentioned it, you've been producing your own films. Talk about that for a minute.
What's funny you mentioned that because I have a shirt on right here for the one I just finished directing. It's called Holy One. I've been producing and directing and acting. Constantly. It's never stopped, but I do a lot of faith and family films that I like to do. And I have one right now called Little Angels that's on angel.com, and it's consistently top 10 right now. And it's only been on for a couple weeks, and it's going to go wide very shortly. I'd love for people to watch that. It's a wonderful family movie in the vein of Mighty Ducks. It's a college football coach has to go coach under 13-year-old girls soccer. It's a lot of fun. The girls are great athletes. I make fun of soccer a lot. It's a lot of fun. So that's doing really well. And it is going to be completely wide in about 2 weeks. And I just finished shooting a golf movie, a redemption movie centered in the world of golf with Kevin Sorbo that I directed, I wrote and produced as well. Just making the kind of movies that I want to see. I love sports. I love any sort of connection from sports to life. And there's huge connections I mean, the metaphors you learn from in sports, you can just apply them to life every day. Get knocked down 8 times, get up nine, teamwork, honor, dependability, all these sorts of things. They're just wonderful things you can learn, lessons you can learn. So it's a lot of fun. I got three more projects to do this year, and The Wait, which is a beautiful transplant story, organ transplant story on a true story, based on a true story. And we're hoping to be able to save lives with this movie, which is wonderful. And I'm just busy as a bee. I love it. We're in Masters of Illusions and its 12th or 13th season. And things are just trucking along nicely. Ever since I left LA, things have gotten better. Weird.
That's awesome, and congratulations! I can't wait to see all your new stuff. Can you do me a huge favor and stick around?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to go to break, but I want to ask you how you got started in acting and then also a surprising connection that you have, Dean, with my son, Rocco. But first, I want to talk about our friend, Mike Lindell, and everyone at My Pillow. They just want to thank you all. our Faith and Freedom audience for your support. It's been amazing. And Mike's mission is simple. He's been canceled and but he wants to help you get the best sleep of your life. And he didn't stop there with pillows. He's made incredible sheets and dog beds and slippers. And my favorite are the towels that actually absorb. Go figure. Why spend big dollars on designer stuff that is made overseas when you can get American made, patriot owned products from My Pillow? I love their towels. They're soft and they're absorbent and they last. Check out all the deals at mypillow.com. And don't forget to use the promo code FAITH because that's going to get you a discount. And you can get sheets for as low as 25 bucks. If your order's over $100, you'll get $100 back in free digital gifts. Y'all, this is crazy. Go support Mike Lindell at mypillow.com. You can call. I have my own number. You can call 1-800-933-6972 and use the code FAITH. We'll be right back with Dean Cain.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. If you think Hollywood's lost its mind, you're not alone. Dean Cain's been one of the few willing to call it out, from woke Superman to joining ICE. What? He's walked the walk. Dean Cain, welcome back.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for keeping me.
So, what made you want to become an actor?
I didn't want to become an actor. I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to play football forever, and I played every sport under the sun, even through high school: wrestling, track and field, baseball, basketball, football. And college, I was still a three-sport athlete. I was track, and then I was volleyball, and of course football, where I was an All-American. I went to the NFL. So I wanted to be an athlete. So I didn't want to be an actor. My dad was a director. I grew up in this business. My dad produced and directed things like Young Guns, The Principal. That was Then, This Is Now, Pure Country. Dad's a great director and obviously a wonderful human. And thank God he adopted me when I was 4. But I didn't want to be in this business. It wasn't my intention. I knew I wanted to get into the world of, I wanted to go to college and play football, and I wanted to play in the NFL. I got signed by the Buffalo Bills and I got injured. My dad had been cultivating me as a writer for a long time, and not as an actor, because he says acting is weird, and actors tend to get, they're under the scrutiny. He didn't want me to be under the eyeballs, everybody just scrutinizing every move I made, every pound I gained, every tooth that got knocked out, anything that happened. So he was like, "Don't do it." When I said I might be an actor, he's like, "Don't do it." And I think what he meant was, if you feel like you can do something else, do that, because it's a hard road and they come after you. They come after you, they build you up, and then they break you down and attack you. And I've seen all of it. Fortunately, I got pretty thick skin, and I didn't listen to my dad, who I love and respect so much. He is my hero. But I'm glad that I'd chosen this path, because I love the world of filmmaking. I love making movies. I love writing. I love producing. I love directing. I love acting. All of it's fun. I don't want to just do one. I get to do it all. And all the kids that I grew up with, Sean Penn, Chris Penn, Rob Lowe, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, these kids, Holly Robinson, they all have done very, very well in the film business. And it's really interesting. We have very different, disparate careers, but very similar upbringings.
So you've worn a lot of hats, from actor, producer to athlete, as you said. What's your favorite?
Man, I like directing. Directing is pretty great, but I love being a part of the whole process. What's great about directing, writing and directing is great, is because you're telling a story. And I love being able to make those decisions, tell the story the way I want to tell it, and have it affect people in a positive way or a negative way, or teach them something. I make a lot of documentaries and things of that nature too. So I really enjoy that, the aspect of, being able to tell a story to people and maybe open their eyes to something, or change an opinion, or maybe have them see things in a different way. It's a wonderful art form, and I'm very blessed to having been able to do this for a long time. And I look at it as though I'm still in the infancy of my career. Maybe I'm just the eternal optimist or naive, but somewhere in there, I'm pretty happy.
Well, awesome. And thank you for what you're doing, because you're right. Hollywood's gone woke, and I'm sick and tired of going to films and they always have to have the DEI agenda in there somewhere. I'm actually writing screenplays with my son Rocco. Now, I want to talk about. Do you know Rocco? You
I
know my
know
son
Rocco
Rocco.
very well. He used to drive me nuts on the basketball court because we played in a league together. That boy
Yep.
has some handles on him, man. He's a wicked point guard, good shooter, great teammate. I was like, who is this guy? Who is there? He is. Yeah, well, you know
Yep.
what? Look at him holding the trophy. That kind of ticks me off. I
I
wasn't
know.
on that team. I wasn't on that team.
Did you ever
He is
play
such a
against his team?
Oh yeah, I played against him
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
I wouldn't check him. I'm more of a big body. Like I'm banging into people. Rocco was way too quick for me. I would just foul him. If he was in the open court, I'd just foul him. Just not let him do his magical stuff that he does. He's a wizard on the court. And you know what I love about Rocco, and clearly this has been come from his parents, is he's Rocco. I've never known anybody on this planet that is as Rocco is. He is his own individual, and he goes by the beat of his own drum. And God bless him. Great guy, great kid. I just don't like matching up on him on a basketball court because he just ticks me off. He's too good.
Well, he said you were one of the best players he's ever played against.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
True or not, I'll take it, Rocco. Thank you. I never got to play with him, unfortunately, which I wish I would
Well,
have because he
me.
could dribble and assist, and I'm a
Yep.
spot up shooter. Let me
He's
spot up and just bang from outside.
yeah. He's a good shooter, 3-point shooter, 80%
Yes.
shooting accuracy, if you recall.
Yeah. He's
Not that I'm
ridiculous.
bragging, but
Yeah,
anyway,
you should brag. He's
I
outstanding.
should.
So
And
he's wonderful.
he's a great kid, and you're right. Perfect combination of Ted and I. I'm the softer, gentler one, more empathetic, and Ted's certainly not. He's pretty hard.
Well,
I
you
want
said
to ask
earlier that
you,
you guys have been married for 36 years.
36 years.
Yeah, what
Can
was
you
he? Were
believe
you
that?
like were you like two?
Yeah.
Like how did that happen? I mean, I'm like, what?
No. Yeah. And here's something else for you. I didn't even know any music that I wasn't a rock and roll fan. I was a traffic reporter at a rock and roll radio station in Detroit. I knew nothing about guns, hunting, rock and roll. Look at me now.
Look at you now. Well, I was also born in Detroit at Selfridge Air Force
Oh,
Base. So I
so
left
I
there when I
lived
was.
right across the street from Selfridge.
There we go. There
I
we
didn't know
go.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I was
right,
born.
Clinton River. Clinton River.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I was 3 when I left. I don't remember much about it,
Oh,
but
oh.
those are
Oh
my
my
roots. And I
gosh.
still root for the Lions, of course, behind my
Yeah.
Bills, but I root for
Yeah.
them.
And the Tigers, right?
And of course the Princeton
Yeah.
Tigers, of course, but Detroit Tigers. I like the Tigers, but I'm Dodgers first, Tigers second.
Oh,
You know,
gotcha.
I have to put it that way. And by the way, my brother was a guitar player, so growing up,
Seriously.
I listened to Ted's music more than just about anything on the planet. And I love music. I love listening to it, but I don't know anything about it. My brother would drag me in his room and he'd be like, listen to this. What sounds better? This? And then he'd press something and go, or this. I'm like, it sounds exactly the same. He said, no, it doesn't. This one sounds more like Ted Nugent. This one sounds, so I've heard everything. He's a legend in our household. And I've had the opportunity to meet your husband as a board member of the NRA, which he formerly was, and I currently am. Just an awesome family. God bless you guys. I love what you're doing. I love the whole family. You're gold in my eyes.
Oh, well, thank you, Dean. I want to ask you, setting up the next generation, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice before Superman, before Hollywood, what would it be?
Whew. Well, believe in yourself. Follow your gut. You're going to be right. There's so much going to be going on, all this madness, but believe in yourself and do the things that you believe in to push your life forward. Don't listen to all the outside noise because there is so much of that. And a big thing about young people, I think, is there's this insecurity about like, what am I going to do in the future? You're okay. You're okay. You're gonna find your way. Breathe and move forward. And that would have helped me at a ton because, well, I was okay, but a lot of my friends were, what am I going to do? I went to Princeton, so 5 years out of Princeton, a lot of my friends still didn't have their stuff together and didn't know what they were going to do. And they were so angsty about it. And they're all okay. You're going to be okay, younger selves. So breathe, pursue your dreams, work hard, life's going to be good.
And what, you have kids?
I have a
I've seen.
25-year-old.
How did
I guess
that
he's a
happen?
kid.
You were two.
Yeah, bless you. Touche. Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He's my favorite person in the world. I changed my whole career when he was born. I had to fight for custody of my son, and I couldn't take all kinds of jobs and had to turn down incredible shows and series and movies and everything because I couldn't leave LA, and it was really unfair. It wasn't a good thing. That's kind of what probably got me involved in politics to some degree, is I realized how unfair it was as a single father that I wasn't able to work. If I did work, I would lose custody of my son, and I thought that was insane. So I had to deal with that, and that was rough. But I think that probably got me involved in politics. And I raised my son a single father, and he's my best friend. He's my favorite human being. He lives here with me now. He graduated college. There we are in Jordan at the baptism site of Jesus, where John the Baptist, they believe, baptized Jesus Christ, and it's pretty amazing. Great kid, my favorite person, and he lives with me now. So we have a big enough house where he's in the same house with me. I don't have to see him all the time, or he doesn't have to see me all the time. But I love it. We're super close, and like I said, he's my favorite human.
Oh, how important is faith to you and your son?
It's huge. It's the cornerstone of everything, really. And and everybody's faith journey is different. Everybody goes through different things, and they see horrible things happen to people they love, and this suffering, and it's awful. We all see that, and finding that ability to hang on to your faith and to embrace your faith. I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations in my 59 years, and I feel like I'm a child. And I want to keep that feeling, but my faith has grown stronger as time has gone on, and I speak to God all day, every day. I thank him for the life that I've been given and the blessings that I continue to receive. And another thing that I always remind people of is, you may pray to God for strength, but does he give you the option, the opportunity? Does he give you the strength, or does he give you the opportunity to be strong? And I find a lot of comfort in that. And through that, like even currently right now, with all the hate I'm taking for joining a federal law enforcement agency, I know in my heart it's what I'm being called to do, and I know it's the right thing. So, and the attacks don't bother me, part of that, the biggest part of that, is my faith in God.
Awesome. Dean Cain, thank you so much for joining me. God bless you.
I'm honored, Shemaine. Thank you. God bless you and your whole family.
Thank you. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider, because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. Are you one of those people that eat perfectly? I'm not. I gotta tell you. I like cookies and Fritos, but that's why I love Field of Greens. Just one glass a day feels like nutritional armor for your body. Every fruit and vegetable is doctor selected for a scientific benefit, from heart health to lungs and kidneys and metabolism, even healthy weight. I notice the energy, but most of all, I love knowing that even on a cheat day, I'm still giving my body what it needs to stay strong. I can enjoy it guilt-free because of the Field of Greens nutritional supplements in my body and their promise. Your doctor's going to notice your improved health, or you get your money back. So let me help you get started with my discount. I got 20% off for you for your first order. Just use the code FREEDOM at fieldofgreens.com. That's the code FREEDOM at fieldofgreens.com. From police officer to online powerhouse, our next guest knows what it means to stand on the front lines of truth. Brandon Tatum, also known as the Officer Tatum, has been fearless in calling out the lies of the left and defending traditional values. He's the founder of Synergy Life. I hope I said that right. Co-founder of Blexit with Candace Owens and host of the most popular conservative platforms, one of the most popular conservative platforms online. Officer Tatum, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me on.
So you've worn the badge, you've preached the pulpit and led the front lines. What's the single most dangerous thing you see happening in America today?
It's really the mental breakdown and a lack of connection with God is the biggest issue that I see, because it's not necessarily the physical, right? I think we've done a really good job at innovating medicine. I think we've done a really good job at now making sure our nutrition is in place so people are living longer. So it's not necessarily just the physical that's going to be the downfall of the people in America. It's really going to be the mental state, the victimhood that we see perpetuated, the propaganda that people just are consuming on a day-to-day basis without, understanding how to, separate what's true and what's false, how to compartmentalize issues. And so I think that's going to be the biggest issue that we face in America, is that people don't get their mind right with God, and they don't get their mind right with understanding what truth is and being impartial when they're doing investigative work. I think that if they continue down that path, it's going to be a problem.
You co-founded Blexit with Candace Owens, a movement that rattled the establishment. What led you to doing that and made you want to go all in?
Well, in 2018, Candace Owens and we were just freshly new conservatives. We had been living a life believing that we were liberals the whole time. And so once we realized that we had been exposed to lies, it made us wake up and say, you know what, it's time for us to pass this message on to other young people that may be deceived and give them a different perspective. Because growing up as a Black person in America, you are told, taught, almost brainwashed into believing that you're supposed to be a Democrat. You're supposed to be on the left.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be believing in all this activist stuff that we see now from the Democrat Party. And once you become an adult, you become informed, you start asking questions, and you realize, wait a minute, I've been propagated to. And the reality is I can be a free thinker. I don't have to be a conservative, or I don't have to be a liberal. I can think for myself and decide what's best for me and my family, decide what's best according to the scripture moving forward. And, me and Candace really wanted people to have that freedom again, to be able to think for yourself. And obviously, I think the conclusion that most people will come to when they're free thinking and they do the investigation and research, that they become conservatives like myself. But we just wanted to give people an opportunity to experience that.
What would you like people to know about what it's really like being an officer?
Well, I think police officers and the job of wearing a badge and serving and protecting is the most misunderstood profession in the entire world. And I'm basing that off of my own personal experience. Because when I wasn't a police officer, I used to have all these misconceptions and thoughts about what police did and what they didn't do. Then when I became a cop, I said, wait a minute, I had no idea what I was talking about. All the way from the way calls are being dispatched, to use of force policy, to the law, and to how crazy people are on an everyday basis that we have the pleasure of being exposed to. So those are things that I've learned, and I think it's a very thankless job. And I know when people say it, they say that about the military service as well. But when I experienced it wearing a badge and being a police officer in Tucson, I realized that it is very thankless. On a day-to-day basis, we have to deal with people having the worst day of their lives. And we get scrutinized for things that we do in a split second that people take months to investigate. But I will say this, it's not all gloom and doom. Being a police officer is one of the greatest accomplishments that I've ever been involved in. I had some of my funnest moments being a police officer. You're talking about an adrenaline rush. People think jumping out of an airplane and skydiving is an adrenaline rush. Going code 3 to a call of a man with a gun is probably just as much of an adrenaline rush as jumping out of a plane. So it was great too. So it had its good, it had its bad. And I thank God that he allowed me to be a police officer, because it shaped how I looked at the country, how I look at reality, and it just made me a better man.
You talk about God, family, country. Those used to be terms that 50 years ago, everybody was talking about and nobody criticized. They were untouchable values. But why do you think they're in the crosshairs now? The Bible tells us that not everyone has eyes to see and ears to hear. And Ephesians 6:11-18 talks about this is a spiritual war. We're not wrestling against each other, but Satan is the father of lies. What is your perspective on why so many people don't get that?
Well, the devil never stopped working since the Garden of Eden. Demons and spiritual evilness is going to be amongst us until Jesus come back. And so the prophecy that the Bible articulates is that in the end days, or the last days, which I think that we're in based on what I'm about to say, is that you're going to see a turning away from God. You're going to see evil prevail in certain ways, and good become evil, and evil become considered good. And so we're seeing that play out. So it's almost like biblical prophecy, and it was inevitable for these things to happen. But for those who love the Lord and who want to live a good life and make a concerted effort to be a part of the kingdom, we have to identify that these things are happening, not take it personal, but be able to be spiritually aware to avoid them and make sure that we're not participating in the foolery. Because the biggest issue that I see in the country is that the Christians are now getting involved in foolishness, and the Christians are now being deceived, not just the rest of the world. So I want us to get back to having a true, authentic relationship with God. Not I go to church every Sunday, so that makes me a Christian, or I just claim to be a Christian in name only and nothing in deed. Let's not be those people. Let's be the shining light. Let's be individuals that people know your faith by your actions. And I think that if we can get to that point, or at least more people can get to that point who have a genuine desire to be at that point, I think we'll see a slight turnaround, almost like the stock market. We'll see a little bit of a bump in social currency in this country if we just get back to putting God first and believing in the rudiments of what Christ said for us to do moving forward.
What are your thoughts about what's happening in not just Washington, D.C., but many other, especially liberal cities, where they're using teenagers to go do the dirty work and steal and rob and carjack and beat up people because they won't have repercussions for that?
Well, I think it's a strategic measure that they're doing that makes sense to a criminal element, and it's tactically proficient. And the reason I say that is because they know in these liberal cities, because they've weaponized empathy and they've prioritized the criminal over the victim. And so people are picking up on that. They're saying, okay, if a juvenile goes and steals the same thing that I would steal as an adult, they get a slap on the wrist and do no time in jail. And in most cases, they're not even wasting their time investigating. So what does the criminal enterprise do? They go, okay, instead of me going and do it and spending, I don't know, 2 days in jail, I'll have a juvenile do it, and then they can continue to do it every single, weekend, because they're not going to get harsh punishment. And this is a direct result of fools. They say the insane run in the asylum. The fools amongst us trying to dictate what's right and what's wrong and not interpreting the law the way it's supposed to be interpreted. I do think that there's something to say about not, I guess, over criminalizing juveniles, but there is a point where you have to put your foot down and say, look, you are habitually committing crimes. We have to step in and do something about it. I've seen it be a problem when I was a cop, because I want to be fair on both sides, that people have over-criminalized juveniles, meaning that they go into the juvenile criminal justice system when they're 16 and don't get out till they're 25. Those formative years destroy young men. They don't become young men. They become institutionalized, and then they end up never being a part of society. But there is a point in time where a young man does need guidance and direction, or a young woman needs guidance and direction. And then there's a point in time where you have shown that you are not responding to law and order. You're not responding to criticism, and you need to be held accountable. So only thing I'm asking for these cities to do is to say, you have a young person that's going down the wrong path, and they're doing it habitually. They need to be held accountable. They need to go to jail. If you want to do big boy crimes, you're going to do big boy time. If we can do that and separate those young people who are, hanging around the wrong crowd, not doing anything violent towards another person, and we want to help them not recidivate, I'm for that. But most of these cases that we're seeing, they're violently attacking people. They're pulling guns on people. They're carjacking people. These are adult crimes that need to be, responded to appropriately.
I've only got about 30 seconds left, but real quickly, I always look at those things and I see, where are the parents?
No, 1,000%. Parents do need to be held accountable. I'm accountable for what my son does. That's why I'm on his case every day. And I think in some cases, maybe we should evaluate whether parents should be vicariously responsible for what their kids are doing. Because kids don't just go out on their own and do these things. No. Kids are not on their own having transportation to go steal and kill and destroy. Their parents have to know where they're at all times. And if you're a failing parent, you should be held accountable for creating or contributing to the delinquency of your minors.
Yeah, I totally agree. How can people find you on social media?
The Officer Tatum on anything you search, and you'll find me.
Awesome. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. God bless you. Stay safe.
God bless you as well. Thank you.
Don't go away. We've got lots more faith and freedom coming right up.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. Okay, we are out for our daily walk.
Celebrating the great spirit of the wild outdoors.
A lot of people realize that we are hunters. We love to hunt and we love to
Venison.
have pure lean venison. We're not always successful. So what do we do, Ted?
Switch to America with Shemaine beef.
We're gonna actually go home and have a ribeye right now. We pulled it out to thaw, and I'm super excited because we've both been out hunting. It's tough. It's not like you can go, okay, God, cue the deer.
I think I got 29 days in a row that the deer have avoided me. I don't know why that is, but we have switched to America with Shemaine beef to compensate for the days that the deer don't show up. Get the best, healthiest, natural beef in the world. I swear we believe in this stuff, and what goes into the sacred temple determines your quality of life and health. And quality beef, like Switch to America with Shemaine beef, is the best you can eat.
Now Jackson's way up there. We gotta go catch him. It's so good. Go to switchtoamericawithshemaine.com. So DC politicians have been talking about crime for years, but talking doesn't stop bullets and it doesn't make families feel safe walking down the street. But President Trump just cut through the noise. He declared a crime emergency, took control of the city's police, and rolled in 800 National Guard troops, not to sit around, but to clean up the streets, back up our officers, and send a message to criminals, your free ride is over. And guess what? It's working. We're already seeing arrests, illegal gun seizures, and a show of force that DC hasn't seen in years. Joining me now is former Navy SEAL and FBI Special Agent Jonathan Gilliam, someone who served on the front lines of national security and isn't afraid to call out the truth. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining me.
It's good to be with you as always.
So, Section 740 of the DC Home Rule Act lets the president take over DC's police and run it from the White House. Jonathan, is this President Trump playing 5G chess or 5D chess, not 5G, but 5D chess while everyone else is playing checkers?
I don't know. Look, I hear that term all the time. I think this president doesn't play games. I think he is a realist, and I think he looks for effective solutions. So I'd rather use that term. He's an effective leader. And what's interesting about the things that he does, it's not mysterious. When I hear somebody describing something as 5D chess, it's as if they're magically in front of the rest of the people. And I don't see President Trump as that. I see him as somebody who just makes effective decisions. And when you look at it that way, it's the same as when I go on to a show and I just tell the facts and the truth, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing at what you do." I'm no more amazing than the next truth teller. I just tell the truth. And I think that's what the deal is here. I think the president sees where he works, the office and the surrounding area where he works, which is something that is potentially under his control, is broken, and he's going to effectively fix it. What has to be done, though, at the same time, the president can only roll out the carpet, but the people that have to walk down that carpet are people like Jeanine Pirro and the legislators and the different law enforcement officers and their bosses. That's where another problem comes from. These people have to think effectively. They have to move to change laws and different things that they can change in the municipality as well to keep these people off the street, and that is effective. And if they do that, they'll have a long-term effect. If they don't do that, even the best intentions by this president will be undermined. And that is where my real fear is at when it comes to the federal government.
President Trump's been cleaning up the streets and getting rid of homelessness. What's not to love? Why would people be against that?
Well, because they hate this country. I mean, so let's look at what President Trump has targeted in the past 6 months, basically, that have to do with this. Cartels and cartel leaders, That is a huge part of the supply and demand chain of drugs and violence. So he is going after that part of the supply and demand. He's now looking at individual cities and states, and he's saying there is a very prolific epidemic of violence, crime, and drugs that is occurring. And he's going to start with the one place where he is actually able to assert his authority without any ramifications from the left. He can do this. We know he can do this. And so what he's doing here is setting up a standard for how other cities can be cleaned up. That's why it's so important for this to succeed, because it's not just about making DC safer. It's about showing the rest of the nation, whether they're Democrat or Republican, that it can be done. So when you see pushback on this, that is leftist. And that's the other part of this equation. You have the supply and demand that creates the violence and degrades our cities. And then you have the left and what I've termed the leftist ideological criminal enterprise. LICE is the acronym for that, because that's what they are. They are actively working to allow the degradation and the destruction and the division in these cities and states. And so we just should expect that to occur, because when President Trump fixes those problems, it sets them back. Because you have to remember, whether they call themselves communists, Marxists, or socialists, what they believe is that you have to tear down a society, and then as you tear it down, the government will be forced to come in and take over ownership of everything. And then when that occurs, they will be able to get rid of the troublemakers. And through that, their mythical synthesis will happen. And that's where the government can mythically step away and the people can live in a giant commune. That's what they believe.
That's what they want. And by troublemakers, you mean you and I and people who are conservatives and speak out.
Yes, and more, because the people who are actively out loud now, the gay rights activists, the black activists, Hispanic activists, white supremacists, wherever they may be, these people, what would happen is that they may raise the most issues, be the loudest, but when a government takes over under a communist rule, those people will also disappear. And so they're useful now for them. But when it comes to ruling, you can just look at history. The people that helped Stalin and Marx and all these people and Mao and all these individuals who called themselves communists, the people who helped them, Lenin, get into power, if they continued to make waves, they were gone. And so ultimately, it is the same lie that Satan told Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, that they could be great, they could be just like God, but ultimately his plan was to take control of human beings and their souls. And that's basically the same lie that communism lives off of. Let the government take control and then we'll give it back to you, but ultimately the government will never let go of it, and those power leaders.
I'm glad you brought that up, because from a spiritual standpoint, we're seeing this lawlessness and deception, Satan's the great liar, the great deceiver, and gaslighting. This country is so divided, but real quickly, I'm so sorry. How do we bring it together?
Well, we have to realize what you just said. I gave a speech once at a pro-life meeting, and there were Antifa people there. And after I started calling them demons and that they were possessed, they started popping like popcorn. And they were calm until I said that. And that seemed to affect them worse. Calling them out affected them worse than telling them that they were wrong. And I think America needs to realize this. People around the world need to realize this. Israel needs to realize this, is that there is a spiritual war. We've been warned about this over and over again through the Bible and through history, and shown this. If you call them out, they will expose themselves. That's what's happening as Trump calls these people out and exposes them, but we have to do it. President Trump is not a savior. He is a leader, and a leader cannot lead a nation to success if the people don't get out there and do their part.
You're going to have to come back on and talk just about spiritual warfare, but I got to leave it there. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. God bless you. Don't forget, Ted and I have our own pet products. They're all natural with bioflavonoids, and we use them on our dogs. Our dogs use them, and they make a huge difference. Go to getuncleteds.com to learn more. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget, Esther 4:14 speaks about we are all born for such a time as this. This is spiritual, a lot of heavy stuff going on. But as Esther 4:14 reminds us, you got this. You were born for this time. Stay tuned. I'll be right here next week. I hope you will too. God bless you.
Relish the opportunity to be an outsider because it's the outsiders who change the world.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this.